Hey everyone, it's Dark Energy with AOE Gaming, putting out this video with a little bit of info regarding the Stonethorn update headed our way. There's a lot of changes, probably the most changes I've seen in an update since day one, and I'm a day one player. I've seen a lot of things change. I haven't put as many builds out recently as you might have noticed, due to so many of the changes that came with Ysgramor and kind of recalibrating and getting our balance back from those changes to item sets and monster sets and whatnot. And then now, not too long after, here we are with another colossal change headed our way in Stonethorn. So I wanted to make sure my builds are working, functional, not just in Ysgramor, and then they, come Stonethorn, they're ruined. And I think we're good. I've done the math, but anyway, let's get into some of the details here and we'll talk about it. All right, so let's take a look here. Armor traits are getting a rework. Divines goes up to 9.1 from 7.5. You get reduced impenetrable. Pretty good chunk there. I'm not going to talk about all of this as we scroll down through. I'll just kind of highlight well-fitted sprint and dodge roll up 1% more of cost reduction. Now look at weapon traits. A little more decisive ultimate recovery, but defending and sharpened are going up a bit. That's pretty nice. And then so is precise for your crit chance. Now jewelry traits, not a whole lot here. I would say bloodthirsty, take a look at that. It gets a rework. And swifty is going to end up going up 1% more. So a lot of people use bloodthirsty and a lot of people use swift. Now mundus stones, the Atronach and serpent, your recoveries are going to go up a good chunk there. Combine that with divines and you're going to get a lot more recovery. Mage and tower not so much, the lord not so much. The penetration a little bit, but the thief and the shadow, look at your crit. Shadow goes down to 11% from 13, which a lot of people use in endgame PvE with high crit, but if you use divines now, that'll probably offset. Now item sets, this is probably the biggest chunk of differences. It just takes a lot to wrap your head around here. One thing I'm showing you here is a list of sets that will no longer apply to allies as they used to unless they are in your group. Now in group content, dungeon trials, that's not a big deal. In Cyrodiil, pretty much say goodbye to solo play. None of these sets are going to give any of your allies nearby any of the benefits unless they are in your group. Now look at this list here. This is all the crafted set changes. Again, I wouldn't have time. It'd be a very long video to go through and read all of this. I'll highlight some of the ones that most people use or have heard of. But there is changes to literally every set in the game, from crafted to overland to dungeon to trial to PvP. One thing they've done I'll talk about is a lot of the old 10% proc chance for this, like Imperium or Red Mountain, Mad Tinkerer, they don't have proc chances anymore. Winterborn, and we'll get to these here, but they removed the proc chances to some of these. Some of them they lowered the damage, some of them they raised the damage. So it's a big shift of the scales here to pay attention to. Again, I scrolled through all of it, but go ahead and read, maybe look at the sets that you like to wear, and see how it's going to change and affect those, which is what I've had to do, putting together the builds that I've got to release now. These changes are going to be huge. So anyway, Defiler, check that out. Damage goes up. That's on the Necrotic Horde. They removed the proc chance. He's going to be out all the time, which is going to make that build even stronger. One of the sets I passed up here a little bit ago was Torg's Pact. Went from weapon enchantment buff from 30% to 90%. That was insanely large, and then they reduced it back down to I think 45% come patch 6.1.1. Mother's Sorrow went up just a tiny bit. Now look at Shadow of the Red Mountain here. So they decreased the damage. Now it never was 8,000. It was something like 12,000. They reduced it down a little bit, and then they removed the proc chance. So every 2 seconds when you use weapon ability, you're going to get that proc. So that's going to help stamina builds deliver that Red Mountain mortar more often, and even the Hell's Mortar build. Keep on going through, like Thunderbug removed proc chance. Storm Knight removed proc chance. That was up above there. There's just so many changes, and this allows a ton of new set combinations to work with each other. Unfathomable Darkness takes a damage buff and removes the proc chance. That's awesome. Way of Fire. Just look at all this. Look at Witchman, by the way. You no longer just get the health and stamina. You get health, magicka, and stamina, and you don't get 28. You get 51. Holy crap. I mean, that's nuts. Imagine that on a Dragon Knight using Ultimate. Look at Aspect of Mazatoon. Used to be 7,000 health, magicka, or 6,000 stamina, 6,000 magicka, and 7,000 health. Now it's almost 11,000 of all three. I mean, there is so many. Brands of Imperium. If you use the Engine Centurion Shield Stacking Healer, now you remove the proc chance. You're going to get Imperium a ton more. Burning Spellweave took a spell damage reduction, but removed the proc chance. Kaluron's Legacy removed the critical requirement. It used to be when you deal a critical hit with a single target magicka ability, it will proc, but now you don't need to deal a critical hit. So you can use this with Malakast Band of Brutality. Combat Physician Shield Stacking Healer. It used to be one target at a time. They knocked the shield down a little bit, but now you'll be handing it out simultaneously to everybody. So that's pretty cool. Flame Blossom, a huge buff there. No longer has a proc chance. That's pretty nice. The set was pretty dumb, I think, before, but now you have a little bit more control over it. And you could put it in a rotation to where it actually works. This is what I mean. There's so many changes that now you can use this set and that set together and actually have new types of set synergies and pretty devastating combinations. Icy Conjurer, it deals a little more damage over 10 seconds rather than 8, but they reduced the cooldown to 10 seconds rather than 12. Iron Blood, like on the Iron Bloodlord, 10% chance to proc that up from 8. So not huge, but definitely beneficial. Night Errant Nightmare, Lamia's Song, Leeching Plate, reduce that a little bit. Let's see. Magic Furnace. So just keep looking through here. None of these are ones I've used or been very crazy about before. Overwhelming Surge used to have a 33% proc chance. They upped it a little bit. Plague Slinger, check this out. They tweaked the damage a little bit down a tiny bit, but they reduced the cooldown to 8 seconds, down from 15. So you'll literally be those poison balls are pretty devastating, and you're going to have them constantly. I think that's a little overpowered, especially if you can CC somebody and can keep them grounded. So Prayer Shawl, they changed how this worked. This could be an option on the Shield Stacking Healer now. Let's see. Scavenging Demise, they increased the damage up to 11,000 plus from 7,000. Remember, Necrotic Horde, now he's going to deal a ton more damage. That build just got way more insane. Spell Power Cure, check this out. You have to over-heal the target versus just heal them at 50% chance when you heal them at full health. It's kind of weird. Stormmaster, I was actually kind of upset about this because I had a build in the works, a Stamina Shock build that we'll touch back on later, little sneak peek. But anyhow, Worm's Raiment. I like this because it no longer just applies magicka reduction cost, but it actually gives everybody 145 magicka recovery, so everybody can use that. Undaunted Bastion, never really used this, but they made more sense of it. You don't have to wait till you're below 60% health. That's a little bit too low sometimes. You get a bigger shield and it starts after 75% health. Let's see, Winterborn, there you go. It took a big buff on damage, but also removed the proc chance. So like I said, that's pretty cool. That set was hard to use anyway with like 8%. Not a lot of frost damage out there for most classes other than Warden. Trial sets, a lot of changes here as well. Look at the cooldown for the Defending Warrior every 5 seconds now. That's pretty cool. I might even try to incorporate that into something. There's so many changes. Again, I'd have to read a million miles an hour to go through all this. Mantle of Sororia, a big one. They grant now 52 spell damage per stack, up from 30, but reduce the maximum stacks to 10 down from 20. That's pretty big. I don't know in the math in the end game how that's going to turn out in PvE end game DPSs, but I'm sure somebody will put out a video. Alkosh. Twice Fanged Serpent, Twilight Remedy. Olorime. So it used to be a 30-second application of Major Courage. Now it's only 10. It used to be 12 people you could affect. Now it's only 6. So it actually makes it a lot harder versus easier to use so freely. All right, next category of sets, PvP. Battalion Defender, I talked about this on the Iron Bloodlord build. I told you it was going to take a buff. See, the tooltip was 2,000. It was never 2,000 for us. It depends on your character's CP distribution and some of your passives. So that'll put the Iron Bloodlord back up closer to like probably 4,000, 3,700. Desert Rose increased the proc chance up to 25% versus 15, but they reduced the Magicka. I used to like that set for tanks. Powerful Assault on the Stam-Power Cure now grants 307 weapon and spell damage versus 164. I like that, but again, you can no longer use it in PvP with allies that are not in your group. They got to be in your group, but for dungeons and stuff, oh man, it's nuts. Spell Strategist reduced the buff from 460 from 500. Vanguard's Challenger used to be a set I was waiting for a change. Decreases the damage done to you by your allies by 35% down from 50, but rather than you taking 150% additional damage, you take 35% additional damage. I think that's pretty cool. Vicious Death just got ridiculous. Now the fifth piece grants spell penetration. The explosion got way more powerful. Let's see here. Blood Spawn, there you go. 37 up from 3,300 on the resistances, and the ultimate proc goes up to 13 from 8. Again, Iron Bloodlord is going to be stronger than even in the clip shown. Grothar won't proc unless you're up close and personal within its range. Alambris, the set now is labeled as a damage over time. I think that maybe there was some issue with Elfbane keeping Alambris out longer because it was, I guess, direct damage. Maybe now it'll last longer. I'm not sure. Maybe it was just a description error. Concentrating Force, it now requires 2, down from 3 on the asylum weapons. Mythic items, specifically Thrashin, everybody talks about it, reduces spell damage to 92 from 150, but reduce the penalties to 1% from 2, and you gain extra weapon damage as well. There's a whole rework there. Now, this is what they came out with after patch 6.1.0. This is patch 6.1.1, where they went further and changed a couple more things, I guess, for balancing. So if you look here, Elemental Precision, by the way, that's going to be a new set. It's supposed to be overpowered. They reduce it down 1%. We didn't even talk about it in this video, but Spell Power Cure, Major Cure, reduce the duration to 5 seconds down from 10. So that sucks. You're going to have to overheal a lot. You're going to get a lot less proc of Spell Power Cure than you used to be used to. Now look at here, Thrashins increase the duration of each stack to 10 minutes to make them essentially permanent while fixing some bugs with actual permanent stacks. They give a little description as to why and how. So there's more changes on the way. People are really trying to use this in endgame to see if they can push their numbers. Endgame PvE DPS. Meridius Service, I don't know that anybody really cares. Olorime again, reduce the duration of the area that grants Major Courage to 5 seconds down from 10, but increase the duration of the applied Major Courage to 20 seconds up from 10. So they kind of made it a little more reasonable. And then Bloodthirsty took a little buff from 250 weapon and spell damage to 350 to make up for the fact that I guess it doesn't calculate into existing stat screen weapon and spell damage. So that's going to wrap up this video. And listen, those are just the tip of the iceberg of the changes headed our way. Look up like AOE cooldowns. There's changes to some of the skills and some of the morphs. There's a lot more than what I've gone in the video through here. I'll put a link in the description to the patch notes so you guys can follow up with those. But I got more builds on the way. If you like this video and you want to see more, I've got builds that I've already released. Most of them are surviving nicely into the Stonethorn update. So that's going to wrap this up, guys. I appreciate you watching. Like and subscribe. Dark Energy with AOE Gaming, signing out.